Unmute it.
Welcome. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Crockford, and I'm actually currently the Religion and Family Life Academic Consultant, as well as the Early Years Lead, and I'm very excited to be doing this tonight. As a former kindergarten educator myself, I'm extremely passionate about the early years, and I would like to introduce my colleagues that have also joined this evening. Mike Hamill, he'll unmute himself.
Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Michael Hamill, and I'm a I'm an academic services consultant in academic services, and I'm also part of the early years team here at Durham Catholic.
As well as Lutasha Watkins.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Lutasha Watkins. I also work in the academic services department. I support the school board in kindergarten, early learning, and childcare, and before and after care.
And Lisa Jeffers.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Jeffers, and I am the Literacy ESL consultant, and I also support the kindergarten team with academic services. I was also a kindergarten teacher, so I know how you're feeling. My kids are in kindergarten, so, but nothing to fear.
This upcoming year, your child will complete one of the most important milestones in his or her life, and the first day of kindergarten is an exciting one. So we all understand that you and your family may be feeling excitement or perhaps apprehensive, or maybe a little bit both. We want to take this opportunity to welcome you and your child to Durham Catholic District School Board. The beginning of a school year is an exciting time of the children's lives, and we especially know that kindergarten is one of the all-time highlights in one's life. So we have prepared an approximately 1-hour presentation with information and an opportunity to ask questions that you might have. Maybe perhaps you have some concerns around procedures, routines, programs, etc. Please note that this session will be recorded and added to the DCDSB website for other new parents or guardians that may want to use this as a resource. This upcoming year will be a very exciting time in the life of your child, and kindergarten will be a time to build your child's educational foundation. We are very happy to partner with you on this journey as it begins. And remember, don't blink, because this year will certainly go very fast. Before we begin tonight's information night, we kindly ask that if you have any intentions dear in your heart, or you wish to share before we have our opening prayer, please even just add an intention in the chat. Okay, so at this time, we just bow our heads and we'll make a sign of our faith in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Lord in heaven, help us never to forget the beauty in a little child. Never let us forget the wonder and trust and yearning in their bright, twinkling eyes. Help us to remember that we are shaping the lives of tomorrow's generation. Give us love to overcome adversity. Give us patience to overcome trials. Give us wisdom to overcome shortcomings. Give us faith to overcome problems. And as these children prepare to begin kindergarten, bless them and all those who care for them. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Here at Durham Catholic, we also do a land acknowledgement. We do try our best to recognize, honor, and encapsulate the Indigenous peoples that were on this land first, and that we are visitors on the land. And with the land acknowledgement, you may have seen different ones. This is the one that we are currently reading as we continue to learn and grow about Indigenous matters that are important. I respectfully acknowledge that I, here in the Durham region, are on the lands of the Mississauga of Scugog Island. I acknowledge the generations of wise men and women, the story keepers and tellers who have gone before us. Slide, the team was trying to show how a day may look for kindergarten. It's also known as year 1 or year 2. So the first year of kindergarten is year 1. Some schools may start at 8:30, and some schools may start closer to 9. Some schools may start or end at 3:15, and some may end a little bit earlier or a little bit late. But as you can see with the slide that the team has presented here, school will begin. Then there will be a morning recess where children are allowed to be outside if weather permits. Then there is a lunch break, as well as an afternoon recess and a dismissal. This next slide, the team is trying to show not the classroom and the school dynamics, the different professionals and teachers and other professionals that you will see. The first one will be who will be in the kindergarten classroom. In the kindergarten classroom, there will be 2 professionals. They're known as the educator team. One will be a registered ECE, early childhood educator, and one will be an Ontario certified teacher. They make up the teaching education team. You will also have in the classroom setting, you can have a coverage educator That will be someone that's coming in to do it.
We don't have that phenomenon.
You will also have a curriculum coverage educator. That will be someone that's coming in to add their expertise to the learning environment for our youngest learners. Some classrooms will also have an educational assistant, depending on the dynamics of the class and if there's any challenges that are occurring. That's an extra professional that will be in a classroom setting. We also have a lunchtime supervisor. That can be a colleague of ours in the school board. It can also be a volunteer. Can everyone hear me so far?
Yeah.
We also have teacher librarians that help to enrich the learning environment in the classrooms, as well as having learning materials in the library, the Learning Commons. There's also, for those families that choose to have before and after care, there will be a child care provider. So depending on the school that you go to or your children attend, it could be the YMCA, it can be Pride, etc. More information about child care providers for before and after care will be provided next week during the next Zoom session. You can also have a program support team that helps the educational teaching team. And the back office, there's always an office administrator, as well as a principal and a vice principal. This video the team chose. For those of you that may remember Full House, it definitely was a wonderful show back in the day. And this definitely shows how some children may be feeling about kindergarten for the first time.
Here we are.
This is my school. It's so big.
Well, you're a big girl now, Michelle.
I'm not that big.
Michelle, you're going to be fine. But if you need any help, your big sister is right in the same school. Right, Steph?
Don't worry, Michelle. Kindergarten is just like preschool, only without the naps. Too bad I'm good at naps.
Come on, everybody. Are you coming, Michelle?
I don't know about this.
Come on. Well, here's your classroom, Michelle. Doesn't this look like the happiest place on earth?
No, that's Disneyland.
Hello, I'm Miss Wiltrout.
Hi, I'm Danny Tanner, and this is Joey.
Mr. Tanner, how do you do, Joey? And what's your name?
Michelle Elizabeth Tanner. This is my first day at school.
That's okay. It's everybody's first day. Oh, excuse me. Please don't climb on my desk there.
Michelle, you have a great first day of school. I know you're going to love it. You'll have fun, honey.
I hope you're right.
Michelle?
Remember what I told you about making new friends?
Hi, honey. Bye, Michelle. Bye-bye. Bye.
My name is Michelle Tanner. You are a strange kid. They hate me already. I'm out of here. Excuse me. Have you seen my sister Stephanie Tanner? I don't know about this.
All right, let me help.
All right, another thing we're going to be doing is breaking the class into discovery groups. And here's our first discovery.
It's me, Michelle. I know who you are.
Stephanie, would you like to introduce us to your guest?
Not really. I'm my sister, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Mr. Lowry.
You were right. He is a major babe. Why aren't you in kindergarten? Nobody likes me there. I'm gonna stay with you. What a sense of humor. Can I take her back to kindergarten?
Of course you can.
Thanks, but try not to teach anything until I get back. I don't want to go back. Don't worry, Michelle. Your big sister's on the job. Now, there's no reason why any of those kindergarten kids shouldn't like you. I mean, you're a terrific little person. Don't tell me, tell them.
There you are, Michelle. What happened?
That boy said I was strange. She talks with the hands on both heads. Ma'am,
Be my guest.
she was just trying to show you kids the cooler way to say hello. The Bullwinkle way. Okay, antlers up. Now repeat after me. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning to you. Let's all thank Michelle for showing us how to be a little bit cooler. Yeah. See, Michelle, they like you. Well, my work here is done.
Good job.
Yes, Michelle? Thank you very much. You're welcome.
So we all know that we may be feeling a little bit like Michelle, worried about a place that we may fit in, or perhaps understanding routines, meeting new people, new space. We're here tonight to provide you some information around the kindergarten program. I also want to acknowledge that times have changed. They're very different. Our students are not allowed to just casually leave our classrooms unsupervised. I do want to make note of that, but we did feel that that video was worth sharing. It was cute.
Thank you, Sarah. The next slide that the team has here is just some information about the arrival and dismissal with the school buses. So if you do arrange, there will be arrival and dismissal for school buses. With that being said, if you can take a picture of this slide, because the information at the bottom, there's two numbers. There's a 1-800 number and a 905 number that gives you information about the Young Rider Safety Program. There's also a website that has videos. So for this particular school year, the Young Riders Program did not operate because of COVID. So even though the Young Riders Program, which is a young program that prepares families and children for being on a bus and being transported to and from school, the school bus system still did work. So definitely check out this website. It does have videos that you can watch at your convenience with your child or children to get them used to seeing a bus, and also get them used to the routines that they might experience if your family is going to be doing a bus program. With that being said, we talked about this in the last session that the team had. If there is any cancellations for school bus, the system is notified. So whether it's on the website or whether you get an email as well, the school does notify you if certain zones can't run because of the weather that we're currently having. I do see in the chat, sorry, Mike, I do see in the chat someone asked about before and after care. Whom do I need to call? We will get into information about that in the next few slides. And next week, the whole session is dedicated to before and after care.
Great, thank you. So right now we're just going to kind of we're going to move in towards the goal of the kindergarten program, and really the whole the big picture of your child's experience as they enter into learning with us and with our system. And so when we think about the goal of the kindergarten program, when you look over to this just to this graphic on the right hand side, this kind of encompasses everything that we believe in. It's basically a belief system. And this is pulled right out of the kindergarten document. So just looking up top around the whole understanding of all children as competent, curious, capable of complex thinking, rich in potential and experience. And so when we think about this and we think about the kindergarten program, we think about, we see it as little people, but big thinkers. And so as your child moves through, and even when I look at when I was just watching the Full House video, I think of, my 3 daughters have gone through, we used to call it the full day kindergarten program, but now we call it the kindergarten program because the kindergarten program has been a full day for over a decade now. And so I've had, my 3 daughters have come through that full day kindergarten program, and it was incredible. Like just even like having my daughters go through the childcare process too at their school, and just seeing how it's all encompassing. But as you drop your child off, I know when I dropped off my first daughter, Maeve, she was maybe a little bit more clingy. And then I dropped off my second daughter, and it was a little less. And then by the time I dropped my third daughter off, I don't even think she knew I even existed. She just kind of was like gone off and didn't even say goodbye to me. So I was almost more upset than anyone. And so the point being is that everyone's going to have different entry points. And so it's just a matter of us being patient and knowing that everyone will be welcomed and feel comfortable as they move through with this. And so as we kind of move through down this as well, we see that whole idea of child and family programs, childcare, kindergarten, and elementary. So we see it as a continuum as it moves forward. And then as educators, our responsibilities around that whole being able to develop responsive relationships. We're going to go a little bit deeper around learning through exploration, play, and inquiry. We see educators as co-learners. So this isn't just like a cookie cutter program. We see your child bringing a lot of great ideas and things like that to their learning environment. And then we move into like the environment as a third teacher. We see that as like the physical and social aspects of the learning environment and environments. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And then as we move down into the way that we document learning is different than maybe when we were in school. And so we're always being reflective too, as we're reflective practitioners, and we collaborate together as professionals as well. And then what you'll notice too within the program is that our communication of learning is basically the fundamental of a play-based learning program. And so that whole idea of belonging and contributing, self-regulation and well-being, demonstrating literacy and mathematic behaviors, problem solving and innovating. So these are the four frames that we really ground the story of your child when we do have those conversations with you, and the learning pieces around that is that we're trying to tell the story of your child, and that's how we want to be able to establish that whole learning culture within our system and for your child as well. And so to kind of start ourselves off and to kind of explain what kindergarten looks like now is that kindergarten is we learn through inquiry. And so we know again that whole idea of little people, big thinkers. And we want to create a culture of critical thinking, of critical thinkers. And so when we think about that, we want to set up a learning environment that has hands-on learning, but it also has the ability to have students ask questions and wonder and be curious, being able to solve problems, being able to explore and discover, and then being able to communicate that with their peers and with their educators as well. And so it's great having that toolkit of an ECE and a teacher coming together to be able to create this learning environment for your child. And so again, we want to be able to nurture that whole idea that of that curiosity that your child's going to bring to kindergarten.
So learning as a whole class is when the class gets together. It's led by both either educator, so it is teacher led, but it can be by either educator. It provides an opportunity for them to build a community, to have great conversations, as well as students are able to learn from each other. So they're learning from their peers during the whole group class. It's also a time where the teachers can also get to know what their students are curious about and what their interests are. And from that, then they can move into that inquiry-based learning. It's also a great time for read aloud, sharing stories, or talking about your weekend. But it's an enjoyable time for the kindergarten kids. There's also opportunities for small group, which again is led by either educator. So here we see a student or some students that they're in a small group and they're doing a guided reading lesson. So it provides the teacher to do some explicit teaching in an area that can support your student or your child, or an area of need of what they're working on or what they're developing. So again, it also provides an opportunity for teachers to have those great, rich conversations, learning about their students, sometimes just having somebody to talk to, so, and getting to know each other.
And another important part to that is that whole idea of learning through play. And I know that there was a question that was just asked, is kindergarten still divided into senior kindergarten and junior kindergarten? So we refer to it as year 1 and year 2, but we would have year 1 and year 2's learning together. And so it provides that whole uniqueness around the ability to create a peer learning environment. And whether that child is a year 2 or year 1, they both have things that they can bring to the learning environment, and that is really done through the idea of play-based learning. And so when we come back to that whole idea, we were referring earlier to like that third teacher. So this really is encompassing that second teacher, and that second teacher is students. The students really learning together and learning from one another. And sometimes we even refer to them as little teachers because they're also learners and teachers. And so by creating these environments and by putting things out that allows for these learning experiences and opportunities to happen. So when we go down, that's where personal and social comes out, language, mathematics, science, technology, health and physical activity, and even the arts. Those all come jumping out within a play-based learning environment. And then as educators, we would be able to document that learning and know what moves we would want to make to help move that curiosity and allow for that flow to happen within a play-based learning environment. And then when we think of the learning environment as well, we also think of it just not as the four walls of a classroom, but also looking at it through the outdoors, and even looking at it through different types of learning environments. So your child will also have an opportunity to learn in what we refer to as a library, but we've now shifted towards more of a learning commons, where it's a little bit more interactive than maybe what a traditional library would be. But then we also look at the outdoors and seeing how our outdoor spaces, both on our school sites and within the community, provide for an amazing learning opportunities. And so it's trying to see as educators how we can take learning that happens inside and try and see how we can bring that outside. And again, try and create that whole that play-based, inquiry-based learning, but within an outdoor setting. And so maybe traditionally when we thought of outdoors in a school setting, it would have been recess time. So this is separate than recess time. This is actually outside learning, so learning in the outdoors. And so it's trying to provide, again, opportunities for students to be able to utilize the outdoors as a learning environment. And then the other thing that we also do as educators is that we learn through provocations, and this can be within a center-based piece or within even within an inquiry-based or a play-based piece. But when we set out things, or when educators put things out for students to learn, they're done intentionally, and so it's not just kind of random things that we would throw out. That's through our observations and conversations and the documentation that we're seeing of your child and your child's peers, and seeing what interests them, what makes them curious. And so as educators, we would put out what we refer to as provocations to help encourage that and to help nurture that as well. And by doing this, it creates, again, it's free flow, but it helps to enhance that whole creativity, problem solving, literacy and numeracy experiences, and also social skills. So that's where students, again, begin to get engaged in their learning. through these provocations, and then also understanding themselves as learners and understanding how they can learn from their peers. And so when educators put out provocations, they're doing this with, they're teaching with intention. And so the intentions are there to help, again, enhance that whole idea of promoting curiosity.
So maybe you're even asking yourself, is your child ready socially, emotionally, cognitively, or even physically? And we want to let you know that to enhance your social and emotional readiness, we lean heavily on our community partners, and they can often provide services that support your child's overall well-being. And they're found, or often found, invited early in the school year. And again, they support and prepare and ease the transition into kindergarten. Our community partners offer programs such as library groups or early years programs, school readiness programs, recreational programs, etc. And you'll get you'll receive more information around these types of programs in the first weeks of school. Durham Catholic District School Board offers high quality instruction in programs. The kindergarten team ensures that children have the opportunity to learn to their fullest potential, and educators will provide instruction that is developmentally appropriate, which will foster a love of learning. The program then would also consist of equal balance between educator-initiated and child-initiated activities, like Mike had mentioned. The overall idea around Durham Catholic is it uses a framework for kindergartens called In God's Image, and this framework is supported by the Catholic Curriculum Corporation, which is a consortium of 16 or 17 Catholic school boards across central and western Ontario. So the kindergarten program at Durham Catholic is essentially rooted around the question, where is God? We base our teaching around all children are accepted in the loving beings of God. And as Catholics, we believe we are all created in the image of God. Each of us was created as a unique individual with a set of unique gifts and talents, and each of us have the potential to develop and express these gifts and talents in positive ways for the common good of all. I love this particular side because we are actually partners, and the importance of parents are vital partners in education. They influence their child's attitudes about learning and the support of learning at home. They are a vital link between home and school. And when they become involved in the life of the school, they make our schools a better place to learn, grow, and thrive. They are, or you are all, going to receive many forms of different forms of education, communication, maybe perhaps through EDSB or agendas. Often we used to call them zippy bags or communication bags. They go to and from school. This is usually filled with important information, and your child's accomplishments throughout the day will have been placed in this communication bag that will go back and forth, i.e. maybe artwork or something that they've built throughout the day, something that perhaps they may have wrote. By building your child's confidence and readiness for school, you will be climbing another step to a path of success. So some key suggestions to help prepare your child for school and the experience that they're ready to encounter would be, obviously providing your child with plenty of opportunities to encounter new people and new situations, socializing and communicating with your child constantly, and making sure that your children are interacting with other children as well as other adults. I know right now with the spirit of what's happening, that can often be difficult, but perhaps, a FaceTime, a Zoom, a social distance visit, whatever it is, but the importance of interacting is crucial. And hopefully now that the nicer weather is going to occur and our numbers slowly decline, we'll be able to do that more and more. But some other tips would be allowing your child to make their own choices, taking responsibility for their belongings. I know often when my children were younger, I'd say step 1, step 2, using that language, using the bathroom independently, and exposing them to mathematical literacy learning opportunities, i.e., counting the grapes that may be on a vine, counting the spoons that you may find in a cupboard or a drawer, reading, playing, and talking with your child. Just remember to build, play, get outdoors whenever you can, and just read. We all know that there's many benefits to reading to your child.
Thank you, Sarah. The next slide the team has here is just about nutrition breaks. There is a nutrition break in the morning and there is one in the afternoon. So definitely students will wash their hands before and after their snack. If COVID is still around come September, we will be following the same protocols that are taking place now. The young learners are just so resilient at lining up on their dots, washing their hands, taking the paper towel, encouraging their friends to wash their hands too. And it's another way to enjoy what they're eating and to socialize. I'm going to try to answer one of the questions that were in the chat section since we have quite a few questions. Socializing can definitely take place in different ways, and this is one of the ways. So what's currently happening in our school board is everyone has every child has a place that they sit for their lunch. Everything is well distanced where they have that opportunity to be in a social setting while they're having their lunch or their AM snack or their PM snack. And during this time, there's always supervision that's taking place. It could be one of the educators in the room, or it definitely could be a lunchroom supervisor or another colleague of ours that are supervising the breaks for the mealtime. One of the important things the team thought would be vital to put in the slide presentation today is speech and language. We do know that oral language is the basis for literacy, thinking, relating in any language. So definitely this is an important part of learning and growing. You will have some resources sent to you by email. We also have those resources that are on our website as well. We really encourage, the team really encourages early intervention. So if there's any challenges or anything that you may see occurring with your child, it's definitely important to put Grandview. And as I'm saying that, someone definitely typed in Grandview in our chat section. So they're one of our community partners. And another reason why speech and language is just so important is just that early intervention. So it's important definitely to stay ahead of things as much as possible, connect, ask questions. If you think there might be a challenge with an ability for speech and language, our school does have speech and language pathologists. I believe the team had told me 6 or 7 that are part of our school system that are able to support if there's any challenges with the speech and language. And then just getting on wait lists as early as possible, because sometimes the wait time can be long.
Self-regulation. So self-regulation is when a student is able to regulate themselves, essentially. So it's the ability to stay calm in a variety of situations. So, you know, showing that a student is able to transition from one activity to another, or from, you know, going from inside to outside, are they able to transition well while staying calm? It's also a way of them to problem solve. So if there is a problem that arises, are they able to solve it through conversation, talking it out with the person that they might have a problem with, or with, it might not be a person or the situation that they're in. So it's having, it's staying calm during these situations, as well as following routines, being able to follow routines, you know, throughout the class, like knowing that you have snack time, so you need to go get your snack bag and bring it. You know, you're waiting. You don't have to be told a number of times to do it. So, you know, I think about my own kids and how I help them to self-regulate at home. You know, that they have a routine. They have a number of different routines throughout the day, and at night they know that after they've brushed their teeth, they get ready for bed, and they know that they'll get a story after. So they know that that's a routine that they follow, and which also helps with them regulating their bedtime behavior, as well as well, I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, so I think it's important that, you know, what you're doing at home is also will transfer to school and vice versa. So just supporting those areas in self-regulating at home through routines, helping them to stay calm and focused during maybe a challenging situation. I get my kids to breathe if they are upset about something. And so now they know that when they are upset, they will say the words, I need to breathe, I need to calm down.
Thank you, Lisa. Just to add to the self-regulation slide, in many of our classrooms, we also have resources for children. So some classrooms may have a read-in center or a common zone. So we definitely try our best to incorporate self-regulation. And, you know, our youngest learners are coming in and they may not be able to manage all their feelings. So we definitely co-regulate with them to give them examples and to show them how. Sorry, I'm speaking kind of soft, someone says, so I'll start again. I just wanted to add to the self-regulation slide that we do have areas in our classrooms where children are able to help support their feelings. So some classrooms may have a quiet zone, a chill zone, different names for those areas. And we know our youngest learners are coming in and they're not able to manage all those feelings. They're young, they're still growing, they're still knowing how to do that. So the educators in the classrooms are there to co-regulate with them and give them strategies and also observe the children to see what strategies work best for them so they're able to regulate. And as Lisa had mentioned, it could be breathing techniques or it can be different materials in the classroom that they hold or look at that definitely help them as well. This slide here is just some resources the team wanted to show. Some of these resources are the Kids Can, also Learning to Play and Playing to Learn. Mike definitely touched on a lot of that in the earlier slides. This book definitely has resources for that. This resource can be found on our website, as well as in the upcoming days, you will get an email with digital resources, this being one of them, if you haven't already. And My Toileting Learning, definitely looking for the signs of readiness to ensure that when the youngest learners come into our classroom, they're able to definitely do a toileting routine. We do know that some children will enter kindergarten and not be fully toilet trained as yet. That's okay. We definitely try to support those children with, you know, encouraging them to go to the washroom on a scheduled time. And even if they may not want to go, just getting into that habit of seeing if they can go. So those are some of the stuff that we have as resources and some of the stuff that we do in the classroom. And yes, Laura, emotion boards are definitely great. Some classrooms may have zones of regulation. That's something that some classrooms may do. And some classrooms may even have those emotion cards and boards for sure. Thank you for that. We just wanted to emphasize a little bit more about speech and language milestones. So this goes back to some of the resources that Sarah was talking about in earlier slides, whether it's using the Nipissing or looking at the Look-See document, just to get some idea of what milestones your child has reached or is almost reaching. So by the age of 4, most children can follow 3-step directions, use adult grammar, tell stories with a beginning, a middle, and an end, solve problems by talking with adults and other children, and be understood by strangers most of the time with clear language, clear speech, and making rhythm words. So these are some of the milestones that are reached by the age of 4. Let's keep in mind that children, our youngest learners, definitely their abilities and the way they grow, each child is unique. So this is just a guide, but generally by the age of 4, these are some of the things that should be met or almost being met. And as mentioned before, we do have partners within the community. So Grandview is there. And I know my screen is showing a red line, but it's not something we wanted to admit. It's part of our presentation. A doctor's referral is not needed for Grandview, and the number is there as well. So going.
And then sorry, Natasha. As we mentioned, as with all aspects of child development, toilet training can differ depending on where your child is. Some children are ready as young as 18 months. Some may be between the ages of 2, the ages of 4. And accidents are normal. We are all aware of that, particularly depending on the child's development, especially when a child does not want to interrupt play or come in from outside to use the washroom. Accidents may be more frequent during times of change and stress, such as starting off the new school year and day routine. So we wanted to lightly mention this on today's information center, that it's really important that when you pack your child's bag on the first day of school, that if you could even just find some sort of plastic baggie, or if you have an extra little bag at home and you put some extra underwear, extra socks, extra pair of pants, sweatshirt, t-shirt, whatever it is, that a pair of shorts, because the weather's going to be so beautiful, just ensuring that everything's labeled and it goes into a little baggie inside of your child's backpack, and then they'll be able to put it into their own little personal cubby when they enter school that will have their name on it as well. And in case of an accident, which we know that can happen, then they'll have a change of clothes.
Thank you, Sarah. This brief slide is just information about our childcare and early years partners. Some of them can be childcare programs like the YMCA or Pride, recreational programs like the Boys and Girls Club of Durham, Ontario Early Years or nursery programs that are usually done through some early on. We also have some programs in the summer that help with school readiness. And there will be a later Zoom session on March the 9th, which is next week, that will further discuss these topics.
So I'm going to talk to you about our English language learners or multi-language learners. So if you're new to Canada, or if you speak another language at home, your child may be considered an English language learner or a multilingual learner. So usually what happens is our ESL teachers, we have 11 ESL teachers that work throughout our elementary school board, our panel, and they're fantastic teachers. They're very, they come with a wealth of knowledge, and their love for children is amazing. And so they would do what's called an assessment. It's called a K-STEP assessment. And they would see where they are with their language acquisition. And depending on where they are, they may support them or they may not, because some students are high enough on the STEP continuum that they may not need support, because our kindergarten program is very it's very rich in our language and the socializing, having those great conversations again. It's done throughout our kindergarten program. So we also have a community partner who it's our Swiss Durham. They are the settlement workers in school, and they support families, with whatever they need. If it's a team meeting, if it's a parent-teacher conference, they can help with translation. They provide opportunities where families that come from various backgrounds or various countries to come together, where they can develop relationships with other people in the community. as well as another thing that I should have mentioned for students who are learning to speak English, it's very important and it's strongly encouraged that you continue speaking your first language at home. It's so important for kids to hold on to their heritage, their first language. As well, it also helps with their development, like comprehension and or reading in their first language, reading books in your first language. It's highly recommended. As well, it also helps with their English language acquisition.
So at this time, we're going to open it to some question and answers. And I think the best thing moving forward is maybe just to go back to the group chat before we unmute people, and we'll be able to answer some of the questions that are found in the group chat. So I think if I go back to class sizes, just to reiterate that. So if you're in if your child's in a class of 15, they'll be in a classroom with 1 educator. If your child's in a class greater than 15, they'll be in a classroom with 2 educators. There's another question here that says, in the event of a lockdown to start the school year, would the students be in a virtual class with students from their physical class, or would they be grouped with students from the other schools? So tricky question, I think, moving forward is that, yes, if you've registered your child in, if you've registered your child at St. Patrick's with other students at St. Patrick's, they would be online virtually with the students that they have enrolled in. So their actual class at St. Patrick's.
And
currently for next year, we have not made a decision whether or not there will be a virtual school at this time. And in order to find that information, you're going to want to go back to Durham Catholic District School Board website, and there'll be updates. But as of right now, there's no decision being made. All the questions at this point, we're hopeful that COVID will look very different and that our classrooms will look not how they used to, but hopefully improved. And in terms of this question regarding how will we keep the children safe and what types of things are we doing in order to have keeping COVID protocols. And currently what we're doing with our students is, again, keeping them in small groups. They are social distancing when can. If they're able to tolerate a mask, they can wear a mask, but we are certainly washing hands quite frequently. And we have hand sanitizers that we're using before and after entering of classrooms, as well as before and after snack time and lunch time, as well as our class sizes naturally did decline due to the fact that we did have a virtual school open this year. So we had a vast amount of our students did do online learning as well as in class. So that allowed class sizes to be a little bit smaller. So that helped with the COVID protocol as well. And just to be mindful that your student, when you enroll them, will be in one cohort. It's not like they're jumping from classroom to classroom. Whatever group of students that they've enrolled in, we'll be keeping them with that group of people. Someone had mentioned year 1 and year 2. Kindergarten really is a continuum. Even though we call it year 1 and year 2, it is it's a whole program. Someone mentioned the idea of, will my child in year 2 be learning the same as they would in year 1? That would not be reflective of the program, because we really, everything has changed, is changing. We base a lot of our teaching around inquiry based, and so that's would ideally meet the needs of the child. And yes, so no year looks the same.
We also refer to it, and even as your child moves up through other grades, is that we've shifted away from calling them split grades to combined grades. And so, and looking at the kindergarten program, we look at it as a 2-year program. And so that's where educators make moves to extend learning. That's where small group instruction comes into play. And so that's how we extend and how we move. And so it's the learning environment that allows for us to be able to extend those learning opportunities.
Thanks, Mike. There's a question around our speech pathologists being from Grandview. No, they would be contracted via Durham Catholic District School Board. We obviously work with and alongside with Grandview. And like Lutasha had mentioned, early prevention is always the best. We want to be proactive as opposed to reactive. So some early signs of speech may be if your children are interacting with other children or with other adults and they can't understand them, that would be an early sign of perhaps maybe wanting to get in touch with Grandview. I know that Lutasha also mentioned that the wait lists they're long. They can be as long as 2 and 3 years. So if you're noticing early signs of speech, I would be calling now, and perhaps cognitively your child will catch up and you won't need Grandview, but at least you've put your name on that list. We do not have uniforms in JK, and we don't call it JK anymore, just to throw it out there. We call this year 1, just to inform you. So year 1, year 2, kindergarten altogether, we do not have uniforms. We answered the one about the prevention of COVID. On the first day of school, great question. On the first day of school, are parents allowed to go in? So again, with COVID, no, but without COVID, depending on your administrator, meaning the principal or the classroom teacher that your child is enrolled with, it may vary from school to school, but collectively speaking, generally speaking, yes, you will be able to go in. They usually on the first day of kindergarten will have a welcome to kindergarten day. They're not going to ask that you stay the whole morning, but it may be just a quick farewell, get in tune with what the classroom looks like, and then leave. I do want to make a point of saying that that can often be difficult too, because that transition after you leaving, as you know, your little one may want to leave with you. So it'll just, again, depend on school. It varies from classroom to classroom. Let's see, there's another question here. Anyone can jump in if I have missed something. Hold on. I think my son is, potty trained. Okay, so yes, okay, so again, just to reiterate, you don't have to come into kindergarten toilet trained, although it's highly recommended. If you have a child that is not toilet trained, you definitely want to let the classroom teachers know, educators know, and then they'll be able to assist. But yes, if you put a few diapers into your backpack, that will be definitely helpful. And then there's someone else here. I'm not suggesting that everyone shows up in diapers. No, if your child is toilet trained, then they absolutely would carry on their normal day. And there, yes, is a bathroom and a toilet in the kindergarten, in most kindergarten classrooms. We do have classrooms in our system that do not. In that case, your kindergartner would go with either an educator or another peer, or you know, for the first year 1, I'm going to say it's usually an adult. We'll bring them to the closest bathroom to the classroom. Social skills, okay, so I think I mentioned small groups. You know what, actually, we've been in and out of kindergarten classrooms, and at this time we really want to say kudos to the educators that are in these classrooms. Really, the classrooms haven't changed that much in that there's a lot of great learning still taking place. So after a child may be working with, say, blocks, and then they want to go to another center or another station in the classroom, or another area, excuse me, in the classroom, at that time the educator would then perhaps pick up the blocks, wipe them down, ask the student to go wash their hands, and then they would go to the other center. So again, protocols are definitely happening. They're doing such a great job with that. In fact, our numbers even state that and show that, which is so great. But our kindergarten class day hasn't changed so much, other than there are different protocols that are put in place in between our daily routines that we would have. That makes sense. Fully enrolled. How do we know? Okay, so if you wanted confirmation as to, so I'm just reading this question. So in terms of confirmation, if your child is enrolled, if you haven't received an email or anything that says that you've been confirmed, maybe you want to check with your feeder school. But as of right now, if you've uploaded all your information and you have sent all your information via our portal, then you can assume that your child is enrolled. If you're feeling that you want confirmation, then I would contact your local school. There are no afternoon naps, but it's not within the day, but I would be lying to tell you that I didn't have students falling asleep on my carpet. It's a huge transition, especially if your child is taking naps now. The first 2 to 3 months of school is a tricky one for sure. And that's not to say that they can't fall asleep. If someone fell asleep on my carpet, I would let them continue sleeping. You know, we're very mindful that these are still little bodies, little people, and we do our very, very best to make that transition as easy as possible. I know at certain schools, any snacks or lunches deemed not healthy options are not fed to the child. Are schools at Durham Catholic School Board the same? I've never heard of that before. I mean, you know, ideally we want to make sure that we have a balanced meal, but I can't ever think of a time that someone would refrain from giving a child a snack due to its nutritional value. I don't know about that answer. No, I think that anything is welcome. Whatever you're the adult in the home, so whatever you pack would be more than.
I think sometimes they'll save it for the last snack, and they'll have the whatever it is that's like a Halloween candy or Halloween treat. They usually save that for the last snack.
Yes, that's a great question about peanut free. Yes, we do have many allergies within our system, and that's something that you will find out very early. Once the classroom educators get their class list, they'll be in contact with you and you'll be notified the allergies within that classroom. And then depending on the class that your child is in, you will have to follow those protocols. Can you comment on masks? Are they mandatory in kindergarten? At the current time, they are not mandatory in kindergarten. I've received an email stating my son is tentatively admitted. What does it mean? So if you're tentatively admitted, that's okay. Have you uploaded all your information? I would just go back to make sure that you've put in all of your information in your registration package. And then if regards to confirmation of my son, yes, I think you should. Oh, as long as it's uploaded by the 1st of June, I believe is the deadline. And even if you don't upload it at that time, you can upload it like in the summer. I mean, things change, you may move. We're very open to that. It's just, we do want to make sure that we get all the documentation in place before your child starts school. Again, classrooms always, as we mentioned, the partnership and the importance of parents, grandparents in the schools. We love that. We really encourage that partnership, but currently I would say no, again, due to COVID protocols, but ultimately, yes, we do love having classroom volunteers. Hopefully we can get on some class trips too. I really hope that things can go back to normal, but I think that that's all. If we have not answered your questions, can students optionally attend half days?
It's a full day kindergarten. It's a full day kindergarten program, and so that's how you'd want to approach it. And I know that it does feel daunting at first to make that adjustment, but kids do adjust, and so it's a matter of just being patient with that. And so there's just giving that time that they do adjust and they do excel within a program that is full day, and that's why that switch was made more than 10 years ago, was because our students they can adjust and make that switch.
I do want to add, though, there are exceptions to that rule. If your child is someone with needs, and you have doctor's documentation, I don't know, that's kind of a loaded question, but we do accommodate certain needs if your child does follow under certain requirements. And again, that would be something that you'd have to talk to your administrator with, along with something called a program support teacher, and they're placed in our system as well. I don't know if that helps, but do we know when the first day of school is? Yes, it's found on Durham Catholic District School Board. I believe it's September, whatever the Monday is after long weekend. I'm so sorry, my mind is not there, but one of my colleagues will find that out. And staggered starts really depend on what school your child is at. So again, that will vary from school to school. We have mostly veered away from staggered starts. To echo what Mike just said, children do adapt and they're very resilient. And we found that often with staggered starts, what happens is the child truly doesn't get used to kindergarten. So then it's kind of prolonging the transition. But again, depending on what school your child is at, they'll be able to answer that question. You may want to call the school and see what their protocol is. Grandparents can certainly be on parent council. I know of many grandparents that took that on, so that would be great. Will there be a staggered start? That's that question. Will we be able to connect with the teachers at our school? Yes, so absolutely, that's a great question. So we're hosting our 3 Zooms. This team of consultants are hosting these Zooms. So we have one now for March. We have another one next week, as well as April. And then May, your feeder school will get in contact with you, your principal or the classroom teacher. And at that point, they will be then following up with a welcome to kindergarten evening. And that's when your child will be able to meet their classroom teacher, and hopefully along with other students that will be in your child's class. So that will be happening in May, in the months of May and June. You will receive an email via the office administrator or principal from the school that you have enrolled in with more information around that.
I think there was a question about the school lease form due to one parent being Catholic, not being Catholic. My husband is not Catholic, and he had the form that he had to sign, so he just had to sign it to say that he's okay with them going to a Catholic school.
There will be a school bus for anyone that is not walking distance. And again, I don't have that equation. I believe it's a certain amount of kilometers. That's found on our Durham Catholic District School Board website as well. But yes, transportation would be available if your child is in the zone of that particular school. During outdoor time, are year 1 children from different classrooms combined in the playground? Typically, yes. With COVID, no. If so, what barriers are dividing the play spaces to avoid mixing cohorts? We're not mixing cohorts right now at this conjunction in time. But best practice and what we've done in the past is yes, typically 2 kindergarten classrooms would be combined together. And then their lunch is shared with all kindergarten's classes. And again, that's a loaded question. Hopefully we can get back to that, but currently right now, no, it'd be 1 class at a time. In terms of substitutes, again, for peanut butter, again, you would want to contact your school to see what their protocol would be. Just to confirm, March 9th, both before and after school sessions are as well. Summer activities will be presented. Yes. And someone had mentioned earlier in this chat, will that be recorded or could they have access to that meeting? And all of our Zooms will be recorded. Okay, in terms of touring the classroom, we actually have just currently put, well, we have gotten into some schools. We are currently getting into other schools and running a virtual tour similar to an MLS tour, if you're familiar with MLS, if you've ever looked at the real estate website. And that will be posted on your child's school website, school webs page, and you will be able to do a virtual tour. That's 100%. Again, we have to follow the health restrictions, and depending on what our region indicates, in the red zone, I'm going to tell you no, that we won't be able to get into the schools, but if we can get our numbers down and we enter more of the yellow zone, green zone, then our protocols will change. But again, you will be meeting the teacher via a Zoom before school starts. You will be meeting them virtually, that I can tell you. Thank you, September 7th, Lutasha. So the school lease form doesn't change any ownership of the house, correct? That is correct. It's just permission on supporting the Catholic board. That is right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so we will be meeting the teacher. Okay, so I think I answered that before and after school. Yes, we are going to be meeting the teachers, but it'll be virtually. What is the school lease form? Lisa mentioned that. Thank you for all your time. Oh, that's great. I handed in all my child's document to school. Do I still need to upload the portal? No, as long as the school has a documentation, it goes into something called an OSR, which is a file that will actually last your child's lifetime in education. So all that information goes into that particular file. As long as we have the documentation, then you're good to go. At this time, I know our team wants to apologize. I know many of you tried to get on last week and there was a major hiccups. We appreciate your time and effort and giving us a second chance. We do truly appreciate that. We know that these are busy time. Well, this is a busy time, a hectic time. We're faced with our different challenges as we're navigating through COVID. So thank you very, very much for all your time. Oh, please, when is the school resuming? Is it yes, it is, September 7th. Are there any other questions? You're more than welcome to unmute yourself at this time.
I just wanted to ask the start and end time. Sorry if I missed it before.
No, that's okay, no worries. So it depends again on your child's school that they're enrolled in, and all of the start and end times can be found on, if your child is enrolled at St. Matthew the Evangelist in Whitby, you would go to that website and you'll find all of that information there.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for the session.
No problem. Any others?
Roya has her hand up, Sarah. I don't
know. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. Sure, go ahead, Roya.
Thank you so much for arranging to connect with us again tonight. My question is around my little one. He is born in December, so my partner and I are always concerned about him being the youngest one in class and his progress in the kindergarten. So we just want to hear your thoughts.
I own a December baby myself, so I can speak to that. He went to school, it's so small. I remember thinking 3 years of age, oh my gosh, it was very hard, but just again, what Mike said, they really do adjust. Like, they are very resilient, and you're going to be so proud of the young man that he becomes. So be patient in the process. He's going to do awesome. It's harder on us, I think, as parents than it is on them. That is the true answer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just be patient and communicate with the educators, because they and just work together as a team on it. Like, yeah, it's going to be we've all had to hand our kids off, and so it can be a bit of a frightening experience. But just be patient and communicate with your educators and work together as a team, and things will work out.
And Roy, we know too that, you know, cognitively they fall differently on the continuum. So you may have a very immature grade, like a 5-year-old, and a very mature 3-year-old. So again, it varies.
Absolutely. And you know, one of our other concerns was that the fact that, you know, he went to Montessori. Okay. And then the COVID hit, he'd been at home the entire time and he hasn't seen anybody. So that transition that we are trying, you know, early on Zooms and all that, but he just gets even shy with Zooms. Like, who are these people?
I know. Well, the good news is that we're all in the same boat. We're all staring at each other via Zoom. I mean, we've all been told to stay home, right? So I know my own children are itching to interact with other people too, and they're not. So that's the nice thing, is that we're journeying the same journey, and when they land in the classroom, they're going to be so happy to see people face to face.
Hi, I have a quick question regarding the application. So you're saying all the applications should have been processed already? Because I did fill out the registration form and uploaded all the documents as of February 15th. I still haven't received any confirmation. So
yeah. Is that Parina?
Yes, Pirina.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Parina, to answer that question, you don't necessarily need a confirmation. That's okay. But if you're feeling like you don't know if you did it properly, I would contact your school.
Okay, no problem.
Not to worry. If you've uploaded everything and you filled it out, it could just, our portals are really, really busy right now. So I would not be stressing about that. I'm sure it's absolutely fine, but connect with your school.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Can we speak to class size? So they have a max of 30, yes. And then we do, but there are very few classes in our system. I would say on average, and I mean, I would love my colleagues to speak for me, but I would say an average kindergarten classroom is probably about 26 or 27 at Durham Catholic. I mean, that's generally speaking. There's obviously many that may be less and a few that are a little bit more. But again, if you have a class of 15, you're going to have one educator. If you have a class more than 15, you'll have 2 educators.
And as Sarah has mentioned, for this year with COVID, Durham Catholic tried its best to max the kindergarten sizes at 23. So there are many classes that are just with 23 children or less. That's something that we tried our best to work on for this school year. And that may continue depending on what occurs for the upcoming school year.
So Enrique, okay, when uploading documents, it asks for pre-admission package, but all this information was entered online. So do we not have to upload it since all of the information? Yes, no. So as long as you've uploaded the documents, you only do it once. Does that answer the question? So as far as right now, we don't know if it's going to be in person or virtual. I wish I could tell you. I actually want to know myself, but we really don't know. I can't retrieve a form in the portal. Okay, so if you can't retrieve a form in the, how do I get an electronic version of these? Or are they required to become fully registered? So depending on, do you actually, so Rizal, do you have the actual documentation itself? Do you mind unmuting yourself?
Hi there. So I don't. So I went online and I filled out the questionnaire, and then I had uploaded my daughter's birth certificate, her record of immunization, proof of address, and baptismal certificate. All the other supporting documents didn't come up in the process of completing this. So I called the school, and the administrator actually said, oh, it should be in there when you go online, but there's no way for me to find the rest of these forms. And I just don't want like her application to sit stagnant because they think I'm, haven't completed the application.
Okay. Okay, are you able to email, can you email that question to Lutasha? Do you mind putting that email in the chat? Thank you. Can you email, Rizal, can you email that exact question to this email and we'll get the answer for you?
Yeah, I will for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. In terms of choosing between Catholic school and public school, if we registered through CDSB, would we take the one out? Yes, you would. If you choose that you want your child to go to Durham Catholic, you need to remove your Durham District School Board application. You will find out when who your child has as a classroom teacher. Again, it's a tricky question because of COVID. I know that that's why the importance of registering early is really important, because we then put together class lists, and the faster we can get that information, the faster we can figure out staffing. Staffing can change even throughout the summer. I can tell you again that in May, June, you will meet the kindergarten teachers that will be at that school. So you could definitely try to guess who your child may have. You will be able to put a face to the administrators that are there, the PST, the ECEs, the classroom teacher, and so on and so forth. But in terms of locking down an educator this early in the game, I don't know. It'll depend on the school.
I'm going to answer a question because I know, Sarah, you've been answering a lot. There was a question here about, where did it go? What to send with your child on the first day of school. So your educator will reach out to you through either, will probably, I'm just thinking if they will reach out to you. I'm just thinking because both my kids are in SKJK, or sorry, year 1 and year 2. And, but what you'd want to send is just making sure you have that change of clothes, you have a lunch and there's snacks with them. This year, because of COVID, I made sure that I sent their box, their pencil box that had their crayons, pencil crayons, even though it may be provided by the school. I just wanted them to have their own glue stick, scissors, but again, next year there may be changes, but I just wanted to make sure that they had their own and it was all ready to go. Normally in a regular school year, I would not ask parents to send that in because I like it to be something that it's just shared. It's you know, they have their crayon boxes that are shared. But just making sure that, again, like the extra clothing, and again, like having lunch boxes that they can open, or thermoses that they can open, that they can use and open independently. So that's another thing that's important.
Thank you. I just have to just top up on that. Is that like is there a checklist somewhere that I can maybe that would have all that you just mentioned?
Yes, of course. Yes, there will be. That is a lot to throw at you. Again, that welcome to kindergarten, May and June, all of that really personalized information, because again, all that information varies from school to school. You will get a package from your educator team or your school team. Not to worry. I know there's a lot thrown at you. You will, on that first day of school, you will have a lot of information thrown at you too, because what you may need at one school, you may not need at another school. So not to worry. There'll be lots of communication going out to you. And in terms of finding a list, actually, I'm sure that a lot of the school websites would have that. And if you're really wanting to, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to email us, and we could personally send you a list of generic things that you could put in your child's backpack.
Perfect. Thank you. That's actually perfect.
We had another question here. Should I be concerned that my son is not showing interest in books or alphabets and numbers? I tried, but he says it's boring. He's more adventurous. So first of all, being adventurous, that's an asset. That's a good thing that he does have going for him. And so when we think about numbers and letters and those things, we don't necessarily look at them in a traditional sense. And so that's why we have like a play-based learning environment. And so if he is that adventurous type, then maybe there's other ways for him to try and learn about numbers and letters and those types of things. And maybe it's drawing things in the sand, or maybe it's finding things outside that he can utilize, as opposed to just seeing it on or doing with pencil paper things with him. That's where he might be finding that boring part. And so it's trying to jump on his assets and seeing how he is adventurous. And that's what we would want to do within a kindergarten environment. And then there was another question around, Chris was asking, he says, we have twins, would they be split up or kept together? And do we have a choice? And so that's a conversation that you can have with your administrator, and also the relationship that your twins would have with each other too. And so that's something that you would want to have a conversation about. And yeah, so you are allowed to make a request. And then it depends on the dynamics of what the school is and how that would work out. So that's a conversation to have with your administrator.
There's an AM and a PM snack along with lunch, yes. Your JK would go on the same bus as your other sibling, if your other sibling is at that school. Oh, and if you're registered at St. Anne's, that's a beautiful school, so your child will love that school. Any other questions? Hopefully we got to all the questions. And again, Lutasha had mentioned she's put an email on that site, and one of us will get back to you if you want to email us directly. Is there any weight placed on who a sibling? No, not really, Chris, sorry. Is there any weight placed on, again, that's a conversation you want to have with the principal of the school. Do students adjust to French immersion? Well, even if they're not speaking French at home. So French immersion is offered in grade 1. So that would be a different, webinar that they would, we couldn't answer that right now. Who have kids? Do students adjust to French immersion? Well, even if they are not speaking French at home. Yeah, so that's
if Carol Caputo was here, she would say yes, they do adjust well, and that
right.
You don't need to be speaking French at home if that's what you're asking. That they during their a French immersion in a learning environment is an immersion learning environment, so they do get immersed in the language at school. So if that's concerning you or about your French speaking at home, don't necessarily let that be a concern, because the French immersion program is designed to create an immersive program in the school environment.
And do remember too that children learn languages the best and the most under the age of 6. So definitely start in early if that's what your household would like. That's definitely an advantage, because they're at that age where they're just learning and growing, and there is science-based materials that the earlier children learn languages, the quicker they're able to adapt and grow with it, even if it's not a language that's spoken at home. And if you do register your child in French immersion, they may be teaching you a few words in French.
Dress code for kindergarten. So there's no uniforms for kindergarten, and dress code for kindergarten would be something very comfortable, because your child is going to get dirty, is the truth. I wouldn't put them in their best Sunday clothes, that's for sure, because they will be heavily involved with using loose parts, sand, dirt, water, paint. So I would highly suggest that if, not their best clothes.
Yeah, the number of holes that my daughter comes home with, like we've literally thrown out many pants.
And snowsuits will get destroyed.
Yeah.
So hopefully everyone walks away with some information. And again, don't hesitate to reach out via that email that we've shared. Thank you to everyone for taking the time. We really appreciate everything that you've, put forth in the group chat. And again, reach out. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody.